What up? This is Rama Screen, and it's time for another celeb interview. And in the anticipation of If Not Now When, which arrives on demand and on digital on January 8th, 2021, I'm here talking with one of the stars and also the writer and the director of this new film, Tamara Bass. Tamara, how are you?
I'm great. I enjoying the fact that it's December in California and it's 70 degrees outside. So I'm good.
That is indeed wonderful. Now, was it always part of the plan from the beginning for you to be wearing multiple hats for this project? And how was that experience for you?
It wasn't necessarily the plan. Like when I mean, it was always the plan for me to write it, and it was always the plan for me to co-star in it. In the very beginning, Megan and I thought about co-directing it, and then we actually hired another director, and we had her on board through the yes and no's, through investors falling out, investors coming back in, and the moment that we got all of the funding secured, she booked another job. And it was like, she's like, oh, I just closed on something last week, and we're like, oh great. So we went back to the original plan. And about producing, unless you know for a fact that you can hire a producer that sees your exact same vision, it just made sense for Megan and myself to do that as well. Like to make sure that the end product was exactly what we envisioned it to be. And the only way to do that is to produce it yourself. And that's what we did.
Hey, yes, exactly. And you also your co-star Megan is
Hmm.
your co-director, your
Correct.
directing partner, and so how did you guys make that work on the set? Who yells out "cut"? What happens there?
It's crazy because when we were in pre-production, we had this whole idea. We were like, okay, Monday you're gonna start. You're gonna take the lead. You're gonna be the one that talks to the actors, and then the next day is gonna be me. By the middle of the first week, we're like, yeah, that doesn't work. So we basically, I mean, if we're not in a scene together, obviously when we're both behind the monitors, we just tap each other. I'm like, you want cut? I'll do action. You do cut. Because at that point, we knew what we were looking for. We knew when to yell cut. We knew when we can say moving on. We knew when we got what we needed. So it was just both of us, whoever said it at that moment. And then obviously, if one of us is on camera and the other one isn't, then the cuts and the actions became the person that wasn't on camera. The funniest is when our first scene together. So it was one of the hospital scenes, and it was an intense scene. So I was like, you can yell action because it's when you're ready, when you're emotionally in the space that you want to be in, you yell action, we'll take it from you.
Hmm.
She's like, okay, great, you have cut. I'm like, yep, I got cut. So we do the scene, and I'm in the scene, I'm in it. Scene is over, and I'm still in it, waiting for someone else to say cut. And finally, she looks at me, she's like, so you're gonna say cut? I was like, oh yeah, yeah, cut. So it was like, oh. So then we noticed that, okay, that might happen because we're actors and we're in this moment.
Hmm.
So we had our line producer, if she was on set, like if she wasn't off doing her real job, or a script supervisor, we'd be like, hey guys, if we haven't said cut yet, can one of you say cut so we know that we can cut? And they were both like, great. It was it. So
But it's a testament to your talents. You can get into the acting mode and then
yeah.
get to the directing mode on cue. So that's fantastic. What was the inspiration behind If Not Now When? What was your motivation to writing this story about four African American women who were high school friends and are now reunited by a personal crisis?
I wanted to basically write a love letter to my friends. I am someone who, I love being friends. I like being a friend, and I love my friends. Anybody that knows me knows, like, my friends are the key to my heart. So sometimes, we all go through these personal crises, and we all don't know necessarily if I stop to say thank you, like, oh, I know you helped me. My I had a niece that passed away 6 years ago suddenly, and within an hour, three of my friends coming from different places in the city were at my house picking me up off the floor. So I was like, hey, I don't know if I said thank you. But this was my way to say thank you to them. Thank you for seeing me through all of the darkness. Thank you for loving me when I didn't feel lovable. Thank you for championing me when I was couldn't be a cheerleader for anybody. This is my thank you. And this also gets me out of buying Christmas presents and birthday presents and all that for the rest of my life because hey, I can say, guys, I wrote a movie to say thank you. So that's all the thanks you're gonna get from me. But no, it was just a way for me to just honor those relationships that exist in my life. And then twofold was to create an opportunity for four Black women to shine. And there's this idea that there can only be one of us in a movie, or we have to be relegated to some side story. And this way, I'm like, no, this is for the story of four women, and it's equally their story. And I wanted to tell that and honor that and give Black women a shot.
Uh, it's been 25 years since Waiting to Exhale.
Mhm.
Why do you think it took so long for such a story to arrive again, and why aren't there more stories like this one?
Unfortunately, I believe that sometimes Hollywood isn't very creative. As as testament to all of the reboots and the like, oh, we're doing a sequel 15 years later. It's like they're fresh ideas, and I think that it just hasn't been. No one has been prepared or brave enough to say yes. And I don't think that my script is the first one that's been floating around that's a drama about four Black women, but I think it's the first time in 25 years that someone said yes. And it just so happened that it was outside of the studio system because we tried the studio system. We tried so many different ways to get this movie made. And I remember at one point, one studio was like, I love the writing. It's so good, but we're just not making these type of movies. And
Hmm.
I was like, great. You want us to laugh and you want us to be your source of comedy, but we have more than that. And I'm a firm believer that instead of complaining about something and instead of growing bitter and growing, distant with the industry, I rather just try to change it one thing at a time. And I turn to create. So if you tell me no, that's fine. Someone to say yes. And if no one says yes, I'll figure out a way to say yes to myself. And I think that it just took someone like me and Megan to say, screw it, we're going to say yes to ourselves.
That seems to be the most empowering way, just write your own material, do it like Tyler Perry does.
Hmm.
It seems that way, correct?
Yeah, it's very empowering. It's very also a way for me to not become bitter. And I
Mm.
love this. I never set out as a kid when I told my grandmother that I wanted to be an actor, it was never to be famous. It was because I love creating stories. I love bringing different stories to life. I love it. I refused to allow Hollywood's antiquated way of thinking to take away what I love to do. So, therefore, the only way I knew how to be able to still do what I love and not grow bitter or angry was to just create it myself and taking cues from Tyler Perry and Spike Lee before him and Robert Townsend, who seems to get no credit ever, who really like opened up this do it yourself mentality with Hollywood Shuffle. That's where I take my cues off of. I take my cues off of the trendsetters, the one Issa Rae, who said, screw it, I'm gonna take a chance on myself. And eventually someone's gonna like it. And if you don't, at least I'm good with me because I'm not gonna lose my love of what I do because someone keeps telling me no.
What kind of character is Patrice? Because as I was watching her, I mean, it's obvious that these four women they have their own dilemmas, but Patrice seems to have insecurity and fear of commitment. Is that the right assessment of Patrice? And what do you think it is that's holding her back?
I think Patrice is someone who looks down the road 20 steps to try to like anticipate what's going to happen instead of living in the moment of what is
Mm.
happening. And I think, when they say, she's scarred. She was burned in a marriage her early 20s, and I feel like from there she's adapted this protective shell around herself. She is out of the group of friends, she is the protector. She is the one that's going to jump in and fix things for you and help you out in your moment of need. But I think what she's done is she's enveloped everyone else's problems and just said, forget it, I'm not going to deal with mine. I'm just going to like continue on. Like there's that scene with Walter when she's like, I stopped dreaming a long time ago. And he says, how does that work out? Are you okay with that? And she says, it works for me. And I think she really believes that if she doesn't want these things, if she doesn't, look for them, then she can't be hurt. And unfortunately, that's not a way to live.
Finally, what do you hope the audiences will learn or take away from the friendship of these four ladies?
That friendship really does conquer all. And at the end of the day, love, having that sisterhood and having that love group really is what sustains you in your darkest moments. So I hope that people at the end of it, yes, they have their romantic relationships, but I hope they genuinely see that the love story is between these four women.
All right. Everybody, for my fans at home, go check out If Not Now When, arriving on demand and on digital January 8th. Tamara, thank you for talking to me and
Thank
congratulations.
you. Thank you so much.